people forget is that behind any kind of problem are people.
Mhm.
So in order to be able to understand the problem and find a way to solve the problem, as deeply as we can into these people's hearts and minds, what they
Mhm.
feel and what they think. So I think this is a major problem, and either if you're an employee or if you're a consultant and you're trying to solve a client's problem, I think it's the same.
Yeah. So let's make this a little worse. You're working from home. How do you get to talk to people? I mean, all you have is, a video camera, whatever, and everybody else has busy lives.
Mhm.
How do you do that? How do you actually find out what you need to know?
Actually, I believe that any kind of communication is the same. I mean, of course, if you are face to face, it's much better because you can understand, more about the people that sit on the other side of the table from their body language or their tone of voice. But uh, even through Skype or through any other, communication platform, you can have a very sincere talk, but it's not only about having a talk or a discussion with someone. It's first you have to create a trustful environment, a trustful context, so
Mhm.
that the other side, either face to face or through Skype or any other platform, can actually speak up and tell the truth about what you ask him. So I think that trust, which is one of the Nordic values that I really believe in, trust is essential for any kind of communication or any kind of business relationship, right?
Mhm. When you don't have trust in like a business relationship or anything really you're doing online, uh, what happens?
Well, if there is no trust, I think there's a barrier, there's a wall, and there cannot be a very sincere and a very, let's say, fruitful discussion and conversation between the two sides.
Mhm.
And that is because it's this wall, and the voices from each side of the wall can't find the other side of the wall in the perfect way. So you have to really um, create an environment and context which is trustful. You have broken the ice, you know a little bit about the other person, and they know about you. So this is what I'm trying to do with my clients. This is what I have done always, even when I was an employee at a company. So before a meeting, you have to speak, you have to talk a little bit with the other side, and try to find a little bit of more about what they think, and especially about what they feel, because the feelings are ultimately what defines everybody's actions, right?
Mhm. Isn't it
Yeah.
funny? I've heard that for years, and it's only this past year where I've really started to understand that we emotionally decide on something,
Yeah.
and we've already made that decision, and then our brain just takes like an extra minute to sort of
Right.
catch up and come up with the decisions. Do I really want this or not? Even though, yes, I pretty sure I already do. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that's right. We try to justify our decision, which is already made in our, let's say, hearts, in our soul, in our feelings and
mhm,
stuff. So we just try to justify what we have already decided with our rational mind.
mhm. I know it's funny. It's like this Seth Godin's course, right? That came out like a year ago or something. My wife showed it to me. As soon as I saw it, I immediately said, "Yes, I want that." And then my rational brain was like, "Okay, let's think about the finances here. Do you you can't actually, maybe now isn't a good time or whatever." So, but I'm still committed. A year later, I want that course. But it's you know
Right.
he's created that environment of trust, kind of like what you're talking about. Do you have any examples maybe from your business where you helped overcome uh, some struggles maybe a client had in wanting to hire you because you created that environment of trust?
Actually, I have a recent example from last year with a client. We started working together. They had a mobile app and they wanted to make it grow rapidly. But they were actually like most of the entrepreneurs, and they wanted results really, really fast. And I told them, hey, wait a minute, we need to get to know each other, find a little bit about ourselves,
Uh-huh.
talk. Let me get into what you think about your business and your product, what you feel about it, what's the main problem or the main let's say pain you have,
Hmm.
um, and actually what are your dreams and what are your hopes. I mean, what are you striving for? If you don't know these, and if you have not talked, let's say, extensively about these issues, then you can't, I mean, no one can actually propose any solution that is viable and of course sustainable. So that's very important.
Hmm. No, nothing turns people off as much as someone trying to pitch them on something that neither of you know is a really good fit. You know,
Yeah,
um, there's so case in point then for you, as you were just talking before, you mentioned that you've gone through a rebrand and you're now really leaning into this whole Nordic marketer focus, and you've got these really cool visuals in your website. I was poking around that earlier.
yeah.
Visitors, please do have a look. Nordic, what is it? NordicMarketer.com. Yes.
So the NordicMarketer.com, yes.
Okay. We'll bring that up in the show notes as well. But you're this is your business that you're evidently passionate about bringing these Nordic values into your brand and into how you do work. Um, why is that important to you? And why do you think that that's an important way to position your brand?
Well, I believe that, as I said in the beginning of our discussion, what people feel, and actually, people are the most important asset in every business, in every brand, and in every business relationship. I mean,
Mhm.
you are a person, and you try to work with other people. So this is why I believe that people and focusing on people first is very important for me, and this is why all these values come in. Values like honesty, transparency, diversity, respect for the other people and what they feel and what they think.
Mhm.
So all these values are coming in to make a context which is trustful, so that every side can actually speak up, feel free, and actually be themselves, so that each side can understand what the other feels and thinks, and start putting things into work.
Mhm.
So this is why, because and these are values that are actually I believe in myself. I believe in it personally. So it's not something that I did just for the branding of my professional, let's say,
Right.
side. It's actually me, and I have tried through this rebranding of myself, let's say, to incorporate all the values and what is actually me, myself, into the work and the services I put out there, and offer to the businesses that I can work with.
Beautiful. What's your what is your journey? What's been part of your story to get to this point? Like for you to now be doing a rebrand and now trying to communicate
Yeah,
more clearly. Like you said, it is you. These things are you. Somebody meets you afterwards for coffee. You're still going to be the same kind of person. It's not a fake
yeah,
thing. So
yeah, yeah.
you've
Right.
made a change into something new and exciting here. How did you get to that point? Where did you start?
I have worked for many, many years, for more than 12 years in businesses, both large corporations, startups, and local and international businesses. So I have met and get to know a lot of people, so many people from all kinds of, let's say, from all parts of the world. And I have always been creative. So if you blend these two things, you can easily see that this is myself. And I have come to believe that focusing on people first with these values is the best way that I can bring out the best of myself. So after working on all these years in the business sector, in marketing and growth marketing, I have decided to take it a little bit further and, let's say, brand myself as the Nordic marketer. And this is why I've done this website and this branding that's actually very, very me. I feel it. I feel it's very close to me, and I really, really like it. And I think that it's something that people can relate with. So regardless of what services I provide, let's say marketing or growth marketing or advertising or stuff, this is something that many, many people offer out there, but there is no differentiating point. And
Mhm.
many, many times, consultants or marketers don't actually put out the real self they have.
Mhm.
So it's something not really genuine. And when they come to work with some clients, there's not a good fit, or their cultures are really very far apart.
Mhm.
And usually all these business relationships, don't end to a very good point.
Mhm.
So this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be myself and bring out the best of myself, and help clients, help them with their marketing and their growth. And
Mhm.
as you can see from my website and my logo, I have a little tagline underneath it, which is "Let's grow together sustainably."
Mhm.
So it's growth, it's being together with the other side, and it's about sustainability.
Mhm. I think what's so cool about your focus and what you're doing is that you're not just You're not just selling a service, you're selling culture.
Yeah.
And people who hire you, people who like that culture, want to be a part of that, or who are already a part of that and want to work with that kind of approach. Because isn't it a way to short circuit a solution to a pain point, right? So, like you were saying a few minutes ago, key problem people have in trying to create a connection with other people is that they don't actually talk to them. We're
Yeah.
terrified of actually talking to our clients or our leads and actually digging into their pains and fears and understanding what their current status is. So, kind of a way to short circuit that and give you a leg up is to be marketing with your culture as much
Yeah.
as you market with your services. I'm thinking of some marketing agencies that I've worked with briefly in the past and then seen, and they'll come up with a logo and a tagline like, we will make you amazing or something. And on their about page, you don't actually see who's there. And it's like, we believe in being number one with Google partners and whatever. And you could just swap out the logo and it's any other marketing company, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But the whole focus that you're now bringing, what you're now seeing is valued, is creating an identity and a culture, and then the services help keep that going with you and then with your clients. So after identifying those pains and fears, what then is you have a three-step process that you recommend. So first is that one, today, current situation.
Okay.
What is the
Right.
number two?
Let's jump to number three, which is actually the future, because we are here at the present with our pains and problems, but we also have a future situation,
Hmm.
which is of course a desired one, and that situation is the end goal we have. But it's usually paired and accompanied with dreams and hopes. We dream about things we want to change and how they will improve our business or our life.
Hmm.
And we also have some hopes that something will be better, but we don't really know exactly what it is. So we have the current situation, the present, and the future situation. And in between these two stages, it's all these, let's say, painful time
Yeah.
between coming from the present situation, which is the problem, to the solution of the problem in the future. And at this point, it's when marketeers and consultants really need to talk to their clients and really ask them what are the barriers and what are the uncertainties they face,
Hmm.
because this is where the solution is actually placed. If you know what is stopping them from going from the problem and the present situation to the solution and the future situation, then you can easily solve this problem and get everyone happy. So you really have to ask this one question: what is stopping you right now from realizing your dreams and your hopes? If you
Hmm.
realize that, and if you understand that with your client or with your boss or wherever, then everything becomes so much clearer.
Hmm. I find this every time I'm on a call with a client and we have this kind of discussion. It's like, okay, what's wrong? Tell me what's broken right now. What's hurting, right? And then we talk about where you want to go. Like you said, what is the dream? What is the hope? And then we talk about, okay, what do we need to do to make it happen? And whether they hire you or not in that call, every time what I find is there's that emotional investment that has now happened where they have taken the time to not just talk to you about, so what do you charge for a website? What do you charge for an ad? Can I get a discount on that? You know, completely different kind of conversation uh,
Really.
when it's that way.
And I believe that pricing should always be the last thing that you discuss.
Hmm.
Because if it's at the very beginning, then there are a lot of nuances and something might break even before the other side, the client or the other side, anybody can really understand who you are and how you can help them. So this is why pricing is actually the last thing that we should focus on when we try from both sides. I mean, from the client side and from our consultant side, it's the same.
Hmm. No, that makes sense. Do you have any recommendations for having a conversation with a client when they do something like a nice person and hey, you'd like to work with them and be a great kind of maybe a great relationship there, and their immediate question is, "What do you charge?" You know,
Yeah.
how would you respond to something like that?
I always respond like this. Let's not discuss about pricing at this moment, because first we need to know if I fit your culture, and if you fit my culture, because it's interactive. I mean,
It's a
it's
good
not about
fit. Yeah.
client. Yeah, you have to be able to give your best self to solve a client's problem, and they have to invest in you as well. So before going to the price and the cost, you really have to understand what I offer, or how I can help you, and if you want this help, and if you really fit with what I say, and if we're going to be a team. Because if we won't be a team, even if I charge you $0, it's going to be the same. The end result will be zero, right?
Hmm.
And this is how you can actually build more sustainable relationships, which are going to be relationships not just on a small project, but that are going to last in
Hmm.
time, and become, as I said before, a team, and
Hmm.
you're going to be together for whatever time the client wants. But I really believe in being sustainable, and not only from the environmental point of view, but also from the business and the personal point of view. You need to think for the long term, of course, without compromising the needs you have at the present moment, right?
Less of the disposable contracts,
Yeah,
uh,
right.
and then more of the ones that you can recycle. That you can
Yeah, yeah,
keep going, bringing more and more value for longer relationships. So within this discussion, we've talked about um, very clearly talking with people and setting aside that time to not just talk about the work that they want done, but why it matters to them. And then we talked about the dream and how to, where are they trying to go? What's the point of it all? And then you said number two is the solution, understanding the barriers. Um, what are some recommendations that you have for how to handle that part of the discussion?
Actually, my only recommendation is to start talking and start listening, because it's a different thing when we just discuss, and a different thing when you actually listen to the client, or to the any other side, what they really have to say. Because most of the times, consultants, or when you're in a big meeting, you don't actually many people don't actually listen actively. They listen passively. Okay, they just wait for the other person to end his words, and then they jump in right with the solution. So my recommendation is listen carefully, listen actively, listen and find out as many things as you can from the other person who has a problem, and
Hmm.
then everything's going to work out. And if you use this three-stage framework, it's going to be very, very easy, because you will end up with, let's say, an actionable shortlist,
Hmm.
of possible actions that you can take to remove the barriers from the process, and to help them realize the dreams and their hopes, right?
It's great. It's one of those simple recommendations that actually is really hard to implement unless you train yourself into it. I was just talking with a coach the other day, and he was saying the person who the person asking the questions is the one guiding the conversation, right? And maybe even determining the outcome of the sale, right? So if you're listening, it's probably because you're asking the questions and allowing the client the space to talk and
Yeah,
help
exactly.
them feel heard. Yeah, I get so many clients who I've worked with in the past who are like, this other person, they weren't listening to me. I didn't feel like they ever heard what I was trying to say. So your process here, it really helps you not just um, you know, what is the problem right now that you're trying to solve, and then here's the contract to make it happen. But what's the bigger picture?
Right. Yes. Yes. That's very common in business situations, and especially when there is a client and there is a consultant. Because many times I have seen colleagues of mine, consultants, or even colleagues in business meetings, just jumping in with a solution without even listening. And
Hmm.
this is very sad, because how can you propose what is the solution if you don't really know the root cause of the problem? And so you
Hmm.
have to ask the right questions, and you have to patiently listen to the other side. And then, of course, you can offer all your solutions and all your experience and your expertise and your knowledge to help them solve the problem and realize their dreams, right?
This was great, Pavlos. So we've covered a ton, and you've actually given a whole bunch of tips already. But to maybe leave our listeners with one tip that they can then start implementing immediately, what would you recommend?
To try to follow this three-stage framework. Present situation, the future situation, and the time in between with all the barriers and the uncertainties. This is where they have to focus, ask the right questions, listen carefully, and then try to put all their knowledge and their expertise into solving this particular problem.
And there you have it. Pavlos, how can people get in touch with you?
They can find all my contact details and more about what I can offer and about my Nordic Marketeer brand, let's say, on my website, www.thenordicmarketer.com. And of course, on my LinkedIn, I'm on the platform all the time.